Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this new episode of CX Punk Chat. I still remember, the philosophy behind this video blog. We are talking about pure punk nature. We want to promote individual freedom and anti-establishment view in the customer experience world. The format is still the same, one-to-one. It means one guest, two questions for one challenging customer management topic. Our guest today is Olga Potaptseva. Welcome, Olga. And Olga is the founder at European Customer Consultancy. Tell us a little bit about European Customer Consultancy, Olga. What are you doing there in particular?
Thanks for having me on the show. Never thought about myself as a punk in CX, but that's a nice perspective on what I do.
Olga, we try to be a little bit, outside the comfort zone. Let's put it that way. We try to be provocative, anti-establishment, because we strongly believe that customer experience is not a religion. Is basically something that, as you are doing at the moment, you have to explain, you have to try, and you have to accept that can exist in different ways, not in just one single true way. That's the vision.
I think that this is where we're perfectly aligned. It's about the innovation and bringing in different perspective, and CX is a business discipline, so it's constantly evolving. I'm very happy to be adding my perspective today. And European Customer Consultancy is a company that I founded in 2017 after having had an enterprise career, if you like. So I'm not a consultant by birth. I've been leading CX in enterprises, and I know how it feels from the inside. And with my consultancy company, I'm trying to spread this knowledge and add different perspectives for my clients who need it. I work globally in the Middle East and Europe the most. And what I specialize in is Agile CX implementation,
which we are going to discuss later. But before we start really with the topic, can you tell a little bit about how you become passionate about customer experience? You mentioned you work, in big organization, and I check on your LinkedIn profile. You were for several years responsible for customer experience for a big organization. So tell us a little bit about how you become passionate about customer experience.
So where my interest originated from is leading transformation at Thomson Reuters as part of the external team. At the time, I was working for GfK, which is a research company, and very few people, some 20 years ago, and very few people ever heard about the concept of customer experience. And what Thomson Reuters did brilliantly at the time was contact center transformation, totally centered around customer needs. I was quite instrumental in that project from the insights point of view, but what I wanted to do is to take this a step further and apply what I've learned from their approach myself. And I saw the position of CX lead and at an insurance company and led transformations there.
I see, perfect. Then I jumped to a kind of strange aspect about customer experience, because you mentioned you were working for GfK. So I would like to ask you, because I remember at the beginning, I started to work in the customer experience field around 2004, 2005. So, and still today, there are big discussion between, market research people and voice of the customer experience people. How did you basically manage to become, to find your right spot, having this background, a strong background in market research and jumping in customer experience, customer feedback management?
I think by nature, I myself am very results focused. Research only gets you this far. It gives you the information, but then someone has to act on the information to make it valuable. And that was the link that was missing for me in research. For some time, I used to lead global loyalty development instrument at GfK, and they're a great company. They are, as you know, they're global leaders in market research, but their remit used to be limited to market research, to giving you the insights. What I wanted to do is to move on to implementation and see the results of insights changing the way companies operate.
Yeah, so we are on the same page, because I always discuss about the so what, so what. So basically you bring insights and you find this so what I call the analysis paralysis, wall that you have to break in order to really generate the so what. Otherwise it stays in a research and nothing is really become actionable. But sorry for that.
Yeah, I think we are on the same page completely. And unless you work in the enterprises using the insights, it's really quite hard. As a researcher, you just want to do research, and it kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, definitely. So we were discussing before about this Agile CX concept. Can you explain us a little bit your approach and what does it mean exactly, Agile CX, in your opinion?
Oh, well, it means a lot of things, but I'll try and simplify it for you using a practical example. Say you're a sailor on a ship, and you come up to the captain and say, "Mr. Captain, let's turn this ship around. I feel this would be the right thing to do." And the captain goes, "Well, we're a big oil tanker. We're going somewhere. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe we won't get there in the most effective way, but I'm pretty sure we will. I've led many of these before, so trust me, we will." And then as a junior person on this ship, you are left disappointed because you feel you're very passionate about this. You've discovered something, but no one's listening to you. So if you take this analogy and apply it to CX initiatives, very often a CX manager is very passionate. Lots of people, lots of great people work in CX, and they're very passionate about customers. But when they get to the C-suite executives, they don't tend to sound convincing enough for the company to change the course. And maybe it's not even the wisest thing to do. We know from McKinsey research and lots of other reputable sources that 70 to 80% of transformations fail. And just think about it, 80% of transformations fail. That's a huge number, not just CX, across the board. We don't want CX to become a failing transformation, one of the many. That's why I invented this Agile CX implementation toolkit in partnership with people who do business agility. And what it does, it instills the new way of working without the revolution. So you pick the projects that are beneficial for the customer, beneficial for the business, and can be executed relatively quickly, within 3 to 6 months. As a CX manager, you build a successful portfolio of evidence. And when you need a bigger investment, more resource, you have the right to ask for it because you have already delivered tangible, specific things for the company. And this is what Agile is. It's doing small things quickly, adjusting the course when you have to, with a bigger goal in mind.
Okay, a very interesting approach. I think we also here we are on the same page because even when we deliver our software, we follow exactly the same approach. So we don't offer a big bang, even if our clients are able to do a big bang, but there is also the possibility, to run small proof of concept, check the return of investment and see that it works, to then sell internally the concept and you know, the platform and the methodology. But okay, it's clear that you know, following this approach, you are basically hedging the risk around a big bang approach. But tell us about you know, how to get the buy-in, especially you know, buy-in from people you know, that own the budget and basically have you know, have the last word on if you are allowed to receive the budget, yes or no.
Mm-hmm. Well, in my company, I did some research back in May 2020, and that research was amongst the global population of CX professionals. 50% of them said that getting organizational buy-in is their biggest challenge in CX management. So I'm glad you bring this up, because it is a very important subject for our listeners probably. And how to get that buy-in is, in short, to speak the language that your leaders understand. It very often is the language of numbers and finance. What is the return on investment for your proposed CX initiative? Sometimes it is the language of a bigger purpose. Why does your organization exist? Clearly, it needs to make money and all of that, but why? What does it do for the world? And in organizations where that purpose is very strong, CX needs to demonstrate that it supports the purpose. It advances you to becoming that type of organization that you aspire to be. Sometimes what you're proposing will go in conflict with the existing business practice in your organization. And this is where you have to make a call, whether you go to your management and propose that big transformation, or you build up that portfolio of agile projects, and then you demonstrate how exactly they would benefit from it, so that your CX language now has substance. And I think this is where we as an industry have been criticized a lot in the past, is that we lack substance. We talk about all the nice things we're going to deliver, but it's not just about the nice things. It has to be about business sustainability and organizational objectives.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I was laughing because this is a very important point that a lot of people, you know, forget when they deliver a project. And you are absolutely right. It's something that I discuss often now with clients that say, okay, now I have to prove that these deliver something in terms of value, you know. And the last question from my side, you know, when we talk about accountability, so accountability of you know, a customer experience project and demonstrating the success of that project, how you tackle this in your basically idea of governance of the customer experience?
Absolutely. The governance is a must. It's one of the foundations for successful CX programs. And in the Agile Implementation Toolkit, we talk about two things, in fact. One is the foundational capabilities development, of which governance is one. And another one is tactical improvements, if you like, so specific projects that you do. And within those projects, there needs to be project accountability. Now, where does the overall accountability sit and how it's split across the organization is a rather big debate in the CX industry. I can share my view, and I would be very happy if people contribute and discuss and dispute, because there isn't one correct view that applies to all organizations universally. My view is that CX director, or the most senior CX person that you have, is ultimately responsible for the execution of CX strategy and the key performance indicators that align to that strategy. There would be accountability for projects, Now, the nature of CX that it sits cross-functionally, and a lot of projects have to be executed cross-functionally. We, as CX professionals, cannot take the accountability for every single project in that cross-functional world. A, we don't have the skills. Functional specialization exists for a reason, and there are very good reasons for that. So whoever's function leads that project across other functions should have the accountability. But CX people have to provide the knowledge, the support, the strategy that is important in that execution bit. And that there is the business accountability for CX as well, which is executed through CX governance. Why it's important is because CX projects have to align with what business is striving to achieve. And projects need to be approved and put into the entire roadmap. So if you all of a sudden as CX director want to have a new CRM and you go off and start executing it with an IT department, then it may be that this project is already in the roadmap. So why would you want to contradict what the business is already doing? And that governance is very important. So the accountability is across the organization, and that's really the nature of CX, but it's not collective accountability where no one is really responsible for anything. It's specific individuals responsible for specific things, but it's not one person for everything.
Okay. We really tackle very interesting topics today with Olga Potaptseva, and thanks a lot that you basically were my guest here at the CX Punk Chat. Was a very interesting discussion, full of interesting topic. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, was Olga Potaptseva, and we basically wait for you in the next episode. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure.